Welcome back, and I'll start here, Prof, by telling you, you'd say it would be unfair to say the Niger Delta is not safe for the oil companies. That's not an excuse.
That's an enemy of Niger Delta, anybody who says so.
Okay, so they are used to being on that side.
They've been there, they've been making money there for 60 years. How can they say that it's unsafe? Okay. How did they make the money from? I've told you that money built Lagos, it built Abuja, it built Bauchi, it built Jos, it built Kaduna, it built Sokoto.
Is that bad?
Oh. It is unjust, she may say it's not bad, that you divert, you channel the wealth of one section, underdevelop that place, impoverish that place, and transfer through your illegal or your unjust laws, and transfer that wealth systematically.
Okay.
So that every month, 36 states in Nigeria, only 10 of those states contribute to the Nigerian Treasury, only 10. Lagos is one of them. The other 26 are economic pariahs. They are even parasites. They don't contribute. But once a month, they all gather in Abuja and share money. That is a worse robbery than what the agitation you are talking about.
But then it's a federation.
A federation is not a club for robbery. A federation means the constituent parts of that federation have autonomy over their resources. Then they agree, like an old students association, to make a percentage contribution to run a central government. That's what a federation means. The one we're running now is a unitary government, it's an empire, it's a source of provocation, and we are determined to end that exploitation.
So you must be one of those who support some kind of restructuring for the country.
Restructuring, I'm a major advocate of it.
There's no escaping it.
Restructuring means return Nigeria to 1960. We have not even moved beyond 1960. It will surprise you. 1960 said, regions, keep your wealth, but bring this amount to run government. 1963, the same thing. It is the soldiers who demolished that system. And since they demolished it, Nigeria has not enjoyed peace.
But if that's going to happen, how is it going to happen when even the politicians haven't been able to sit down?
It's a simple thing. We had a national conference in 2014. I was a delegate. And we worked out all the approaches in a pacific, peaceful way. You don't even need any...
So what's holding it back?
Those who are going to lose. Those who are going to lose from that justice.
Are there any losers in this?
The losers are that if, for example, if you are from Kano, and Kano has 44 local governments, every month, Kano carries 44 lorry loads of money from Abuja. Bayelsa State, that owns Oloibiri, where the oil started, they have only 8 local governments. That is so obvious that unless you restructure, there will be no end to agitation.
No, but one remembers that even before, there were other forms of economic activity. You know, there was palm oil, there was groundnuts, there was all of those things.
They're about groundnuts, they're about agriculture. Because even if you don't work, at the end of the month, money comes to you. You pay your workers. You can go to Hajj. That is going to end. That is the work that the Pandef is doing now.
And this has nothing to do with ethnicity, or because,
for
example, are you saying people hate to hear the fact that, okay, the Hausas are lazy people, the Igbos are thieves?
It's not even Hausa, it's a ruling cabal. Forget about Hausa. They're everywhere. I don't know Hausa people in the motion here. It's not Hausa. What we are saying that what the Nigerian nationalists negotiated at the time of independence with the British was that we are going to have a federal government like India, like United States of America, like Canada, like Switzerland, like Ethiopia, like Australia. In those countries I've mentioned, there are 28 of them in the world, and they control 40% of the world population. Federation means each region or state or province, whatever name you go to it, has 100% control. So if your area is waterlogged, like Delta State is 48% underwater, it's not only oil and gas we have. That water is an asset. It's a resource. We'll convert it to wealth. We can use it to generate electricity. The corridor of the ocean, 200 kilometers of the ocean below the Delta State, we can locate 20 shipping yards there. Any ship coming from Europe going to Asia, we bet there. We will make money from there. Oil and gas are perishable. They are even polluters. The people who make progress in the world are not living on oil and gas.
Are you leaders of the Niger Delta not also culpable? Because if you even, scale down and come to Delta, you'll find these Sokos and the Jaws and the Robos and the Undokwas all struggling for, okay, I'm marginalized, I'm not marginalized. So
no, it's natural. It's natural when you throw some seedlings of corn to a brood of chicken, they will fight. So let's restore 100% ownership of resource to ourselves. We'll go and fight there. But at that time, each region or state will be struggling to put its best into the market. Lagos may not have oil. They have now. They may have other things. Ekiti State may have intellectual resources to export professors to states that need them. And the money they will earn will come back to Ekiti State. That is how the Koreans and the Japanese built their country. They were working in America and sending money home. That is how a federation operates. You exchange your points of strength.
Okay, let me talk about this agitation now. You have the Masob agitation on one side. You have Boko Haram on one side. You have the ND on one side. In fact, in recent times, I started seeing cattle rustlers or Fulani headsmen. I don't know what those ones are agitating. So the agitation all over the place.
There are many agitations. There are many protests in Nigeria assuming violent form.
Yes.
And the reason why that violent form has become dominant is because the federal government of Nigeria has accumulated too many powers. It cannot exercise them. The federal government does not accumulate such powers. It devolves power to the constituent units. So in the National Conference in 2004, 2014, we said, police, devolve police. There will be no one Inspector General of Police. In 1960, each region had its own Inspector General of Police.
How will this help the case, for example, in your state, in Abakar recently, when somebody's head was cut off by the cattle?
If the Delta State has its own police formation, which is going to have in the next few years, and
all things being equal,
we don't need equality. We will fight it. If the House of Assembly appoints the police commissioner or the police IG, Abraka, a university town where I've been for 15 years, we have its own police formation too. They are called constabularies. When you enter London in the UK, there are 6 police formations in London. There's Metropolitan, there's everywhere you go. You cannot escape if you have a crime, if you make a crime there. Because the thing has been devolved across. Because security is the primary duty of government. The Nigerian government, having accumulated all the powers under military regime, can no longer exercise those powers now. So it has allowed people who are angry to express that anger, and the government is incapable. They have 400,000 police in Nigeria.
Go back to the example I gave to you. So if, for example, that somebody's head was cut off,
it will be solved by the Abraka police.
You won't wait for the IG to...
You don't even need him. As it is now, the police commissioner in Delta State is from Katsina State. He doesn't know the state. Because of fear, he can't even enter the water area. That is not government. That is imperialism. And we are determined to terminate local imperialism. Let each area of Nigeria grow on its own strength. Let it develop according to the pace that it can fund. Let no area of Nigeria live like an amoeba on another part of the country and become so lazy and confident that they have some slaves in Niger Delta whose money they can. We are determined to end that colonialism. It has started. Pandef is leading it now.
Pandef is having conversations. I mean, I think the vice president was in Delta and met, with Pandef as well. All the negotiations.
That's a good response to our agitation. When the agitations got to the federal government on November 1, the president asked the vice president, go and see these people. What is happening? And he came. He has done very well. What Nigeria government could not do in 60 years, Professor Oshibajo did it in 16 days.
What was the difference?
He toured 6 oil-producing states, and he spoke with candor as a professor of jurisprudence and justice, not just as a government official. He saw the anarchy on the ground. He saw the other development, and he said, how could this be happening in the country where... So we are on the right path with him.
Let me remind you, though, that, for example, the people say leadership is also culpable. Ibori, for example, ex-governor,
former governor of Delta State.
Yes, people say he's a crook, he's a thief, and you guys are hailing him.
Yeah, if the population that he ruled over are saluting him, he could have bribed 5 million people. The people who are calling him those negative epithets are the people whose achievements challenged their authority. If we go into that matter, we won't live here. Those are the forces of hegemonic control in Nigeria, which make sure that if somebody of substance is emerging in that colonized part of Nigeria, they go for you. They went for Adakaboro, they went for Kesarawiwa, they went for Alamesia, he's dead now. They went for Ebori, they went for Lucky Benedion. Anybody who is standing up there
Prof, that would be for another day, because the question is that the fact you're helping your people doesn't mean you will steal their money. I don't buy that.
I don't know about how much money. I served there going for 4 years. I was a professor there. I never took a contract. I carried all the files of the contractors as chief of staff. I never took one. So when you talk about corruption, these are stories that you can manufacture in EFCs. I don't want to go into that.
If you want to wind up now, you're saying justice and equity can only come from a true federation.
Yeah. There must be a restructured. Luckily for us now, that clarion call now has a geographical spread. We in the Niger Delta are in the forefront of it because we know it will restore us to what was then 1960. The southwest states, the 6 states in the southwest, using Afenifere, are also involved. We meet regularly. Southeast, the most devastated part of Nigeria, they are in support of it. Those 3 zones are on one side. We met in Abuja last week, the Middle Belt. That's the first theater of slavery for the Northern oligarchy. They are also involved. In a few years, restructuring becomes inevitable because without it, there's no even moving forward. It is the lack of it that is making the government to face so many problems it cannot solve. They are exhausted because that was not the way that Nigeria was structured for governance. So restructuring is inevitable.
And it must happen.
It cannot be repressed, and it will come to happen soon enough for Nigeria to regain the strength for self-development, as we did 50 years ago, marching with India, marching with South Korea, marching with all the countries of Asia that were dependent with us. They are 55 years ahead of us now.
There's a lot of catching up to do. Thank you, Prof, for being my guest. Thank you for flying yourself all the way from Abraka to get here. You had one flight to catch all the way in Benin. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
On your terms.